Hey guys, Heidi Easley here, Texas Art and Soul, and I am very excited. I have another guest today named Ashley. So welcome, Ashley. Thanks for being here.
Hello, thanks.
And she has cool hair. I just painted a mermaid thing today, and I was like, I love your hair. It just makes me feel like I'm all with the mermaid stuff right now. So tell us, Ashley, tell us what you do in the art world. Tell us who you are, what your business is, and what you do in the art world.
All right, so my name's Ashley, and I started an art program in an elementary school 3 years ago, and it's been for we have a special ed preschool program all the way through 5th grade, and so I've done art with like 600 kids for the last 3 years, which has been so awesome, and has really like made an impact in the community, not just in the kids and the teachers, but in their families. And I've just seen such a acceptance of the arts. We're in like a really art community anyways. We have murals all over the streets and everything, which is awesome. But we didn't have art before the program. I mean, they do art in class, but it wasn't a specific class outside of the classroom, you know? And so for the first couple of years, I was art on a cart, and I wheeled my wagon all around the school, up and down the stairs. That was fun. And then last year, finally got my own art room, which was really nice because they could all come to me, and I could leave the art projects out, or I could leave the materials out. It made such a difference. So it was really fun. And then, let's see, this year, we're opening a nonprofit restaurant in our community. So 3 years ago when this program started, I had, oh gosh, this is a real long story, but I'll shorten it up. But
Okay.
with the whole housing market and everything, like in 2012, so we moved at that point, and we had this big prayer that we had prayed for with our church. It was like a 90-day tithing challenge, right? So we're supposed to tithe, like we're supposed to do this, but we were living penny to penny, and we just had 2 kids, and we were like, come on, you know? And so we decided, okay, we're just going to step out, and we're going to trust that this is what we can do and what we're supposed to do. And so our prayer was that we would move out of the house that we were in, because it was a really small 2-bedroom little condo, and with 4 of us and 3 animals, it was not enough space. And so we said, like, put us somewhere that we can have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with a yard and a garage and great neighbors and a great school, and maybe a landlord from our church, because that'd be really helpful and safe feeling and whatever. And then a place where I could do art for kids, you know? I'm thinking in my backyard with 10 children. So God didn't think that, but I did. And so we were basically in a restaurant one day, and we had just sold our house after like a year and a half of trying to sell our house. We sold our house. We had been doing our tithing, you know, and it was like, okay, God, what's the next step? We're tithing. And at our church, it was, if in 90 days you feel like God's like, you're not supposed to be doing this, this is not right, don't do it, then they'd give you all your money back. It was like a risk-free guarantee, sort of, you know what I mean?
Wow, I've never heard of that.
I know, right? So we're like, okay, let's do it.
Like money back tithing challenge. That's great.
Right? Totally different, unique, but it was amazing. And the things that have come out of that have been incredible. And I think they knew that going in, you know, like God's going to answer prayers, and you're going to see this, why you do what you do. And I know that our church uses the money for good and brings great things all around the world, which is, I felt safe with, you know? Mm-hmm. So yeah, we went into a restaurant one day, and a family walked in, and I looked at them because I knew they were really connected with our church and worked in like the lighting booth and all that stuff. And I said, hey, so if you know anybody who's going to be moving soon and need a tenant in a house, will you let us know? Like, they all looked at each other like, what are you talking about? Because I didn't really know them that well at that point. Mm-hmm. And I was like, or not. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step on your toes. And so they were like, no, wait, we have a house that's coming available, and we have people moving out. And we were like, what? And they said, well, when do you have to move? And we said, well, the last possible day for us to move out, with us like renting back our house from the new owners for like a week, is October 1st. And they said, okay, well, our tenants move out on October 1st. Oh, so let's see if it works, right? Literally, we went down, and this was an area where we were like, oh, we are never going to live down here. Not right. And that day in church, I was working in Sunday school, and my husband was in with the regular church service. And the pastor had said, never say never. So but the people who own the home were like, well, it's a 3-bed, 2-bath house. It's like on a dead end street, and we had wanted a cul-de-sac. It's like a little dead end street. It's a really great little place, but go over and check it out. So we did. We went over, we like drove by, and we're like, wait a minute, we actually could do this. Mm-hmm. And my husband then said, the pastor did say never at church today. So we were like, okay. So we called, and what we could afford at that time was so much less than what this area was going for. It was pretty much almost half of what the houses were renting for where we were at. Mm-hmm. And so we said, okay, well, we'll tell them we like the house, but what if we can't like afford it for the price? And so he said, he got back to us with the price and said, we'll include your utilities. And we said, no, wait, we'll just take it for the price. We'll pay for all of our own bills. Like, you don't have to add all that in, but yes, we'll take this place, because it was seriously less than what we had said. If they come back with this price, then that's God saying, well, hello, here's the house that is yours. Then we'll know for sure, And it was $200 less than what we had thought we could handle. But he knew what we could actually handle at that point, and so that was perfect for us. Which, by doing that, it allowed me to stay home. So we did rent that house, after all, for 5 years.
Wow.
So it allowed me to stay home and raise my kids. And the school is an amazing school that we were able to get them into. And all of our neighbors are like our best friends now. And our landlord was, at our church. And it was a 3-bed, 2-bath with a huge yard, which is unheard of in that area. The houses are like on top of each other. And it had a garage. And so it was exactly the answer to our prayer. And with that, I started doing like little paintings with kids in the backyard or in my house, or a little summer camp. And I thought that was just the best thing ever. I'm doing art with kids. I got all this stuff. Like, thank you, God, for allowing me to be able to do this. Because that's the other thing. I kind of bounce around jobs a lot because I have to be creative. I'm not one to sit in an office. Like, you can't work in an office and let that be okay. I've worked in film. I've worked in theater. I've done all creative fields, and I just am not a desk person.
Yeah.
So I need that freedom, and that freedom to change stuff up. And I still go back and work in film here and there so that I can keep that bubble filled, and then it inspires me for other things, So with the rent price and everything, I was able to do that. And my kids were able to go to this school. And one of the little girls in my son's kindergarten class, her dad owns a restaurant in our town. And he came to me that year. At the end of the year, we do like a big gala project, and I just volunteered. I wasn't teaching art at that point. I'll do an art project with the kids, and we can auction it off at the gala. And so we did a big Jackson Pollock. The kids had hair nets. They had aprons. They had rain boots. They were throwing paint everywhere. It was like so much fun. And so he ended up buying the piece. It was like a 4-foot by 3-foot piece, and it's up in the restaurant still. And he called me over the summer and said, hey, if I donate money for art supplies for the school, would you start an art program? And I'm thinking like 10 people in my backyard, God, that's the answer to my prayer. And then he was like, no, it's bigger. Watch this. You have 100 kids. Yo. Like, wait, what? I've never done this, Yeah. But I had enough background in managing and all that sort of stuff from the theater world that I'd done. And so I made it happen. And we talked to the principal, and we talked to the PTC president and the owner of the restaurant and everybody, and got our ducks in a row. And I started a program, and it's been 3 years now, and it's been awesome. But at that first art show, the coolest thing, just the feeling, I mean, you're in the classroom and you're doing art with the kids, and you're making a difference because you walk across campus and they're all coming up giving you a hug. And the parents are coming up saying, my kid draws all day long. Like, I come home, and instead of them playing video games, they're taking out paper and drawing. And you're doing the right thing, And I've also, I don't know, I love kids. I've always done this stuff. Mm-hmm. So it was natural. And I'm like, thank you. Mm-hmm. Well, at that first art show, I put on a big, like, theatrical version of an art show. It's like a big production. And
nice. I want to hear more about that in a minute.
We love our art show. But the owner of the restaurant, he came to the art show, and he put his, it's an Italian pizzeria sort of thing. And so he had a pizza car out there with his oven, and the kids were helping make pizzas, and he just donated it all for free. And people would, put donations in and whatever. But as they were doing that and walking around this huge venue that was donated to us, we had, I think, 1,800 pieces of art up at the venue, which was awesome. And it was just a whole experience. We had baked goods that parents had donated and a whole community feel. So the owner of the restaurant, he had been told by so many parents there, like, thank you for giving opportunity like this to my children, because it's really made a difference. We didn't know what they were missing until they had this, and it's really changed how we look at a lot of things, which is so important. And from that, he decided to open a nonprofit restaurant in our town to raise money to get art back into the public schools, because we're in California and all the art's been sucked out of schools, sadly. So
what's the name of the restaurant, the nonprofit restaurant, if people want to support it?
Oh, I wish I knew right now, but we're still in that phase. But his restaurant is Buena Forqueta, and it's in San Diego, and it's been voted, best pizza in San Diego multiple times and all that. So when we have the new name, I can let you know that. But because it's used to be an old coffee shop, this place, and the owner ended up leaving. So we have this great space. It's huge. And he decided, all this money needs to go back to give supplies for art and other things, like supplies to the schools, because the funding is just not there anymore, and they really do need the funding. So it's all come out of this 90-day prayer challenge that we had, where we just asked for a place to live, really, and a lot of stipulations on that. But then it's grown into a whole, 10 kids in my house, 600 kids at a school, a restaurant now specifically being created to give art to kids in the community. And then I said, this is my brilliance, jumped in with, if the restaurant's open like 6 to 3 breakfast, lunch, eatery, what do we do after it closes? Can I have art classes for kids after school? Can I have baking and cooking classes? We have a chef. Why not do that? Okay, let's have music classes. Let's have musicians come in and like spread their joy of art and music. And it's really taking off. And he's like, whatever you want, let's do it. Let's make it happen. So paint parties and everything, like there's a space for it, and to allow creativity to just flourish through the community. And I know it's just going to go bigger and farther. I mean,
oh yeah. And just think of I know, especially, I taught 10 years at schools, and just, hearing, things like, oh my gosh, my kid misses you so much, or this, or they mention a project or whatever. And just, we think it's a little influence we have on somebody, but really it's a huge influence. And, from you being obedient and listening to God, it's like, I think it's so cool to see, I think sometimes we put these limits on God, and we think, oh, he can only do this for us in our life. But then when we take those limits away and look at all the opportunities, I mean, all of this awesomeness is coming your way. And it's just because you're being willing and being obedient and following his path. I think that's so cool.
It's crazy. And it's hard because you're like, okay, is this me wanting to do this, or am I supposed to be doing this? But I always just pray for certain doors to close as they're supposed to, and others to open. And for me to know which one is the right way to go. And we're kind of in a transition with all that right now. We moved, and it's far enough away to open up new doors, which has been really exciting, because I used to do paint parties a lot too. And I was spending so much time in the classroom that I wasn't able to do as much outside the classroom, or even with my family a little bit. So it was taken from that. And this year it's going to be a little bit different, and I'm going to get to do more paint parties and hopefully like retirement homes. This is like my new thought. Have you guys done retirement homes before? Mm-hmm. Like, I have people who have asked me, my dad just went to a home. Is there any way you could start doing paintings at their places or art with them like you do with my kids? And so I think it'll be really fun to open up all those different venues, just to be able to give more art to people and make them feel empowered in creativity. My mom, here was the big thing. I grew up doing art my whole life. Like, oh, I don't want to get emotional, but my mom, like, she was like, you got the art gene, like, it's yours, not mine. I have other talents, which is great. But I never fully believed it, because she's my mom.
You're supposed to say that.
So I took her to a paint party like 4 or 5 years ago, just like one of those wine and paint nights, you know, where you go, oh, like what we do. So, but
we do that.
It was different than, Mom, let's paint. She'd be like, no, I can't paint. But if I've paid for it and she's got to go, then she's going to see maybe I can paint. So we went and we did it. And I sat next to her and I'd give her little tips and pointers, and then she'd try it and she was like, wait a minute, that worked. Wait a minute, I got it. What is this? And then at the end, she had this gorgeous painting that she was so proud of. She hung up in her house. Now, in elementary school, she was told by a teacher, I think it was a tree, like, your tree, you call that a tree? That's not a tree. This person's is a tree. Yours is not a tree. That's not a tree. And so from like 5th grade on, she was in this mindset that she got herself into, that she couldn't paint, that she couldn't draw. Art was not for her, just not her thing, was the other girl's thing, right? Which is so anti my philosophy.
Mine too. I am so against that philosophy. Oh,
right?
When I hear those stories.
I like constructive criticism to a degree, but it has to be one for the right person who can handle it. And not everyone can, and that's not everyone's thing, but I just want them to be encouraged, because art is not just something you're born with, I don't think. I mean, I think we're all born to be creative. In my opinion, God is the creator of all things, and he made us in his image. So therefore, in some way, we must all have some creativity to absorb into ourselves, right? Like, there's some, even if it's being creative in how you do an Excel document, I can't do that.
Yeah, everybody has their place in the world and what they're
right?
Yeah.
And I just don't like people to shut it down. So I'm very positive and encouraging, and try, like, it can be a very learned creativity. And my mom now, she loves art. She can't wait to retire. So all she does is art every day. She'll send me pictures in the middle of the night, like, look at this bird I just drew. And I'm like, that's amazing. And she's like, I looked at a picture. And to me, so what? Look at a picture. Do that for 5-10 years. Look at as many pictures as you can. Try to do them. Eventually, you're going to start going, wait, that and that and that go together. And now I've created my own thing. And just like you said, we're Frankensteining paintings all the time, right? That's my favorite term now. I'm like, that's right. They're all totally Frankenstein.
I came up with that. Thank you. Yeah.
You are magical, because it's so true. And I had someone tell me that the other day. I taught a paint party, and then they went home with their daughter and did a whole nother painting. And the daughter helped and everything. And I was like, did you do that today? She's like, yeah, after last night I was inspired, but I cheated. I looked at a picture online and I just did that. That's not cheating. You painted on your own. Do it. And the daughter had fun. She's going into 2nd grade now. So it's just good to be able to get people empowered to try, you know? No one's going to be perfect at first. Gosh, how many times do you and I mess up on every painting we try?
Oh my gosh. Me and Bobby did one the other day on a Facebook Live, and everybody voted for his. I'm like, you're not that good.
Which one was yours? That was the leaf or the canvas, right?
His was the leaf, and everybody like was telling him at work, no, Heidi painted the leaf, and just
I thought you painted it.
Yeah, I know. But Bobby's really good. He he hides it, but he's really good when he tries. So yeah, painting next to him sometimes can be kind of a confidence pressure. So I have to choose.
We all need that sometimes. They're like, okay, get it all in check.
I got to step up my game. My husband's calling me out in front of the world.
Right?
Yeah. I just love your story about like all of this, because I feel like a lot of times we have these conversations, I interview people all over, and the Frankensteining, yes, okay, so somebody might look at somebody's painting and they might look at your awesome black and white pumpkin and they might do that. Now, that's the only time, like, I think, when I first started drawing, I was like 5 years old. My first drawing was The Simpsons. Like, I looked at...
I love drawing them.
Yeah, they're so fun. And I remember I was like 5 years old drawing The Simpsons, like, and so we all learn by imitating. And, I think it would be different if we, go paint your pumpkin and then try to go sell it as our own artwork. That's different. But for those of you out there, you're trying to learn, we take, people's art classes online all the time to help better our skills. And especially as a person who teaches paint parties, we're a lot of times teaching beginner paint parties. If we only do beginner paint parties, I got stuck for a few years there. I was so busy with paint parties, I only taught beginners. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, crap, I need to like get my skills up to date, right? You know, and so we have to like, you know, take our things. So I'm all about how you're talking about like, you know, that mom and that daughter going home and looking at something and painting it and having that experience together. Like that's what it's about, you know?
That's what it's about, because those kids are going to remember it forever. They're not going to remember if your painting was perfect. They're not going to remember if it looks exactly like the picture they looked at. They're going to remember just the atmosphere that was created for them to be expressive and to do it with their parents, which I think is so awesome. And which is one thing I loved about my art program, is because I get those parents involved all the time. Half the time they come in to volunteer and help in the classroom, and then I turn around and they're all sitting down at a desk and they've got all the supplies, and I'm like, wait, we have to clean up brushes, and they're like, I'm almost done, hold on. But I love that. The teachers do it too, because they have to be in the room with me. Mm. So they go, do you need my help today, or can I do the lesson? And I'm like, do the lesson. It brings them joy. It helps them feel like there's a new way they can think about it, so they're not intimidated to go into a classroom and teach it themselves, which, like, you and I can't be everywhere. None of us can be everywhere, right? So for us to teach other people how to do it and to feel empowered enough to have one or two of them be like, I want to try teaching that. Yeah. That's such a compliment and so great. You know, even if you're just teaching your kids at home, like that's huge. We're raising them up to do this stuff and feel empowered by it. And everything we see around us is created at some point. So we need to. Yeah.
And it teaches so much confidence and problem solving skills and just, you know, I think art in general, you know, when you're out there, you're trying to create something. And I remember a few years ago, I taught a Christmas paint party for my daughter's class. I was in charge of the Christmas party. So me and one of my friends, we were like, okay, let's do a, you know, Elf on the Shelf Christmas paint party. And the teacher jumped in, and she was the one that took the longest painting it because she was just having so much fun. And she kept going, can you come help me? Can you come help me? And the kids were just going crazy. And she's like, you're never going to ask me to paint again, are you? And I'm like, no, like enjoy it, have fun. And so I love that you're that way and that you have that spirit about you, that you just want people to have fun. I can totally tell, like just through meeting you online like this, I bet they just love and adore you there so much.
Fun together. Yeah.
I bet. Well, tell somebody, you know, just a piece of advice. I know we're wrapping up here. If you had, you know, maybe a piece of advice on somebody who maybe is wanting to be more creative, live a more creative life, or even they're maybe thinking of starting paint parties, maybe they need some extra money for their family, what would you tell them? What kind of advice would you give them?
Well, join Paint Party Headquarters, first of all. Because honestly, like, okay, I've done this for how many years now? And I was like, I already teach paint parties. Why would I join? Like, what am I doing? You know, like I've had these thoughts for the last year. I'm like, but I love Heidi and she's so great. Now why would I do this? It has been so helpful in so many ways, because one of those things you said about like, you're teaching beginners constantly. And on Paint Party Headquarters, everyone else is teaching a lot of beginners too. But then everybody else is also constantly trying to create new stuff, and they're putting it out there for all of us to discuss and talk about. And then it inspires me, at least, to go out and try something else or look at something a little bit differently. Or the comments that we have, it makes me go, oh, wait, that's what was wrong in that other painting I did 2 weeks ago. And now I can go fix it. What was wrong with it, you know? Or like I gave myself, because of this group, I gave myself a challenge to paint every single day, whether it was my dresser, whether it was a painting, whether it was anything, right? I just needed to paint every day. And I don't think without kind of the group, I probably wouldn't have done that as much. And so it's helped me have a community of other people who kind of can keep me accountable in a way, because I feel responsible. Like I said, I'm going to do this. I better post my picture. Because if not, whether people are going to be like, you didn't post today, they're not going to say that. But I feel like I owe it to everyone, like, do it. And then I owe it to myself to do it, right? But I think also just getting over that fear of I'm not good enough to teach it, or I don't have a degree in art. I don't have a degree in art. My degree's in theater, right?
Mine's communication and psychology.
See, and if you have art in you and you have teaching in you, because you could be an amazing artist but not know how to talk to people, and that might get a little sticky. But in this group, we also learn about that stuff, right? And we can watch people get up and do a Facebook Live and go like, whoa, right? None of us are going to judge you because we're all trying to do it too. So it's a really safe little place to feel like you can express yourself and to push yourself. I think it's been great. I don't know. I've loved it. But I really think just believe in yourself and pray. Oh, you said something I absolutely loved. You said before, I don't know where I read this about you, or maybe you said it in something, but before you start your paint parties, you pray for all the people that will be there. So usually my paint parties are like 20 minutes away from where I live. And I use that time in the car to pray. That's usually my time with my kids when we pray too. So if they're going to a paint party with me, we pray for all the people that are coming to the party, whether they don't need to know that I prayed for them.
Right.
Just to pray for them to have the confidence, to pray for me to give out the words that they need to hear, whatever that be, and for the atmosphere that we're going to create, because we're the ones creating that atmosphere for them. They're stepping into a world of like, okay, I'm going to paint. I'm going to have fun with my friends. Some are scared, some are excited. Some could care less what their painting looks like. I say that too. Like, sometimes I like to cover the canvas completely, and some of them like the texture of the canvas showing through in the background. And I learned after a few, when I go over and say, oh, do you want to cover this up? And they're like, no. You're like, didn't mean to offend you. So sorry. So now I just kind of put it out there, like, just ask me if you would like some help or some advice. I'm here to give it to you. If you are confused, if you're stuck, if you want to know why the canvas is not being covered fully or how to get that to work, I'll kind of talk through that as I go, so that if I've walked around and I saw some of that, I don't call them out individually, you know?
Yeah,
like,
you can say it is a broad.
Yeah. So, and then some of those ones are like, I love how it looks. I'm like, you're painting your wall, not mine. Okay, you know? Not all of these should look the same. I also have a little sign I bring that says, be yourself, everyone else is taken. Because
Ooh, that's cute.
Right, and I put it with all the paint so that when they go up and they get more paint or whatever, because they usually have a separate paint table, when they go get their colors they want or whatever, it says that, and I always start with that. Like, every picture, as I do in elementary school, every picture should look different. None of our pictures should look exactly the same. None of your pictures should look like my picture, and usually I'm more inspired by what I see that they create than my own, and I look at mine and go, oh man, that's kind of boring. Like,
I'm always like, I'm going to take that moon you just did and going to add it to my pumpkin area. Yeah.
That's what I do. Yeah, a lot of times. Because then they also feel empowered at that point. You know, like, wait, I did this, but I just saw someone else who had this idea. I might add it to my painting. And then that gives them a little boost. Like, what? The teacher liked mine better? You know?
Yeah.
So,
Oh my gosh, you made me tear up as you talked, because I'm like sitting over here trying not to cry. But the reason, I mean, like, I think, you know, I find so many women, you know, there's artists out there that, you know, are fine artists. And I think there's a place in this world for every kind of artist. I really, truly do. And unless, you know, you're doing hate, then I just don't agree with that. But, you know, but I feel like there's, you know, there's always, you know, a place for every kind of artist. And I think, you know, so many times I have women that come to these parties alone. And they are looking for friendship. They're looking for like-minded people. They're just looking for something other than a Netflix series, right? Yeah. And so, you know, when I'm putting out my stuff and I'm just quickly praying over each person, you know, they don't know that I prayed for them. They don't know any of that. And the reason I'm like tearing up is, and I'm going to try not to cry, is because, you know, I didn't ever think my statement would ever go to somebody else that would do that at their parties. And it just means a lot.
Yay.
It's pretty
cool. You
cool.
never know who you're going to touch or what little sentence is going to make a difference in someone's life. Oh, girl.
You're making me cry. Okay, so let's wrap this up because I'm like getting emotional.
You just live our truth. And if you live that truth honestly, I think, and it's not forced, and it's truly what's in you, then that's what's going to reach other people. And it might not be until 5 years down the road that you see the difference, you know? Yeah. But it might be tomorrow. You might, but you're reaching people. And I have a friend who told me, similar to that, and she has no idea that this probably touched me. She was my assistant for a long time in film. And I did an interview with Patty Palmer the other day. And she had said the same sort of thing, like, we can take on the whole world, right? We can do everything, but why? We don't have to do it all. We can do our part and let others do their part. And we don't have to fill every shoe because we can do it, right? So you have to kind of adjust things sometimes. And my friend, gosh, it was 10 years ago, we were working on a kids TV show, and she's like, Ash, you're a great boss. Like, I love it. It's awesome. And I like her because she can be honest with me. And she's like, you know, the one thing she said was, if you could just let go of a little bit more and let us do a little bit more and like delegate, you can do everything. Like, that's great. But you have to find out a place where you can delegate to let other people do a little bit, and then you'll be happier, right? So, and it helps everybody when you start to do that sort of stuff. But just that one little sentence she said in a room, she said hundreds of sentences in that room before, but that one stuck. Just like with you, that one stuck, you know? I'm just so glad you said it, because I do. I pray for them every time now.
So awesome.
And for any paintings I might be doing, like just for the inspiration to do a painting that's going to speak to whoever's going to paint it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that atmosphere that we create is that inviting, warm, non-judgmental, fun space.
Yes, and that's why people come back. That's why people are going to come back to all your parties, and why you're going to, you know, your stuff is always so successful because of that environment you're creating. But yeah, I just love what you're doing. I'm so thankful that you're in Paint Party Headquarters, and I did not ask her to say anything about Paint Party Headquarters, so
Specifically did not ask me to do that.
I actually said don't talk about that, but I'm glad you brought it up. And yeah, I'm just so glad, because that's the thing, you know, we're one person, we can only teach so many paint parties, but if there's other people spreading that joy and that hope and in a simple, fun paint party, it's just so cool what can happen. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And where can people find you if they want to know more about you, your programs? Where can they find you?
So on Facebook, my business is called Creative Avenue, and on Facebook I have a page called Your Creative Avenue. And because I feel like it's their path that they're gonna find through me and my paint parties, you know. And I also have a page called Picture It in Words, where I do word art. So I like to do lettering and stuff, so I do that sort of just on commission, you know.
Oh, that's awesome. So they could actually buy original art from you too.
Yeah, I've done a lot. I've worked with a lot of people of a lot of like baby showers or wedding gifts or things like that, and it's usually kids' names or verses, Bible verses, or just quotes that people like or whatever, and I do it all out of words. So that one's Picture It in Words.
Picture It in Words. Okay.
Yeah. And then my other one's Your Creative Avenue.
Okay, so Picture It in Words in Your Creative Avenue. Check out Ashley Bruce, and she has so much energy. I just love what all you're doing. So thank you so much for spending time interviewing with us. I so appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Heidi.
You're welcome. And everybody else, I'm going to wipe my tears and get my act back together for the rest of the night. But for everybody, if you want to leave a comment below, go to her Facebook page, like her, show her some love. That'd be great. And then if you want to know more about Paint Party Headquarters, just find me on my website and you'll see the information there. So y'all have a great night and stay creative. Bye, guys.